this is about the fourth go at... I'm trying to focus on the camera with my eyes. It's really difficult because my eyes are drawn to the screen and then I get distracted. There's a milk bottle there and I start just to look at things like this can of WD-40 thinking, should have tidied up a bit. It's a studio, isn't it? It shouldn't be tidy. It's a realm for creativity. Just ignore it, Pete. Just keep looking at the camera. Move on. What have we been up to? I have been working on my TS Eliot piece. I say working on, something I've been thinking about for quite some time. The piece is called "And Down We Went," which is a line from the opening of T.S. Eliot's poem "The Wasteland." The work that I've produced is based on some of the imagery and narrative from that, which is where this character's come from. I'll put a picture of it up, maybe, on the screen. I had an idea. I think it was about 3 years ago to make this piece, and it just led into this wormhole of reading and looking at accounts from history of not just the time period it's talking about, which is post First World War Austria, really. The character within the narrative, Marie Lariche, who I think she was a cousin, but she was also a lady in waiting for the Countess of Austria, I think, at the time. There's this massive sort of historical narrative about how she was a little bit of a brat. She enjoyed the finer things in life and partying and all those kind of things, and ended up getting embroiled with some quite controversial actions which led to a murder-suicide. But anyway, you don't need to know any of this. You just need to know that this lady came into the wasteland as inspiration. It seemed really appropriate to put her into this piece, and it's not a direct portrait. I've used historical photographs from this time, some information about the fashion of the time, which ultimately was Parisian styles would seem to be the height of fashion, so that's kind of roped in. But more than that, I think I was more interested in why T.S. Eliot had picked her. So in the opening of The Wasteland, The Wasteland as it is, which you might be familiar with it, you might not, but it's often viewed as quite a dense and confusing poem made up of sort of split narratives and mixed imagery. I really like it. That's how I like my art, from, on every level, from music to literature. I like that collage approach. I like things that don't necessarily make direct sense, but just present visual images, present reactions and responses that you can form and you can make your own interpretation from. Yeah, I guess I like a bit of a collage, because I think that when art is presented like that, it allows us room for interpretation. I think rather than get caught up in, but what does it mean, to just think, but what does it, what is my response to this and what does this mean to me? I think it lays the ground for people to form more of a personal association with something. I think the easiest way that I can describe it without sounding ridiculously pretentious is to think of music And as I say, I like that in music. 'Cause if I think about bands like, which I like REM, for example, a lot of the images that they use are that. It's not a narrative. It's feelings. It's what is the Country Feedback? It's a lovely song, and all it is phrases. It's a cut. I think it was supposed to be like an exercise where they just played some music and got Michael Stipe to just empty his mind, and it's all very impulsive, ad-libbed. There's the word I was looking for. Same could be said for Nirvana, for example. Their lyrics are very much like that, just snapshots and idioms and all stuck together. So that's how I like my art. That's what I try to do as well, and that's the Wasteland really. Marie comes into that. Her appearance in that, you don't need to know the background. You don't need to know the relevance to why she's there. But she's there as a representation, I think, of post-war England. Of her reflections are really important within the poem. She's looking back and she's thinking of this time she spent with the Archduke, this time when she was young and she was on a sled, and she's experiencing that mix between fear and excitement, but almost in a safe space, almost in, before the real existential fear of war appeared in her life and dragged her from that innocence. And then in the second part of the opening, she's reflecting on her life, and which seems much more quiet and based in solitude. Autobiographically, that you can see these pulled associations from the fact that she was ostracized from her family and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, I think that it's a lovely image that this sort of happy-go-lucky, bit of a wild child suddenly is in a position where she's reflecting. She's in stasis almost. She's just reflecting on her life, and that's something I've tried to put into the work as well. That reflection. There's some abstract elements to it, such as the literally the slide down the piece, which is a literal representation of the young Marie and her venture down the hill with the Archduke. So that's that. There was a maquette that I made. It ended up absolutely nothing like the maquette, which it ended up a bit more of a concept portrait. The maquette was a much smaller interpretation, which was a sitting Marie, so full body one. It would be nice to have the means. I mean, I don't have the means to fire something as big as that would need to be, but it would be nice to make that eventually. Maybe that's one for the future. So Marie will be on display. Marie's gone to Millbridge Gallery in Skipton. So she will be on display as part of an exhibition of the Leeds fine artists' work. That's going to run until I think it starts the beginning of September. Is it the 4th or the 5th? And it runs until the 19th of October. And that's, as I say, at Millbridge Gallery. So that'll be a good opportunity to go enjoy it. Really nice gallery as well. I popped down today to drop that off, and I'll be going for the opening as well. So I'm really looking forward to that. Okay, so there's that. Lots organised so far for next year. Lots of irons in the fire, which I'm not even going to go into I just need to sort out the coordination of that, and then eventually I can concentrate on what the hell I'm going to present. Different exhibitions. I think it's just the way it goes these days. I think the it's so difficult to secure somewhere to actually show work. It makes sense to secure somewhere for work to go on display, and then just hope by the time it comes round, you've got you've got something to show. This is very much ad-libbed, by the way. I haven't really planned anything. I have been sorting. This is what all this is about behind me. I've been delving into the archive of work that hasn't ended up in galleries, and I am going to try and catalogue what I do have, because the reality is that I need to part with work at some point. I can't, there's only so much space in a house, and without physically replacing the space that I inhabit, it's important to move on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to catalogue it. I'm going to put it on here. I'm not, going to put it anywhere else outside of here, and I'll run a catalogue basically for you to have a look. If I get time, I'll do it this month, and I'll put it in this newsletter. Price is on, and then if you are interested in a piece, just please drop me an email or send me an Instagram DM or whatever, and we can work out a price from there. So that's fine. I just wanted to talk briefly as well. While I didn't want to talk about it, but I am going to, about creativity and the cathartic, about why I make sculpture. So it's been a point of reflection. I've mentioned it in posts and things, but I don't. Some people might not be aware that I used to, for about 15 years, I worked as a mental health social worker. I worked as what they call an AMP as well, approved mental health professional, which involves working with the law, the Mental Health Act, and coordinating detentions under the Mental Health Act, essentially all the elements to do with that, and then approving the psychiatric recommendations. That definitely had a major impact on my work, not just my work in terms of the themes and the content, but in terms of the requirement for making. It was such a funny thing that led me to it. I think this is going to turn into a bit of a counselling session, isn't it? When I think back to childhood, my comfort, safe place was making, and it was something I would do before bed. It was something that I've got memories of just playing, essentially, with like, it's not great because it's terribly it's an irritant, but raw plaster, just like water and plaster, and making faces and like papier-mâché, all that kind of stuff. And I think that's it. And I think that when work got to a point where it was, mentally difficult, I went to that safe place again, and it became a cathartic exercise that I needed to do to just feel safe and feel comforted and like banish the sometimes banish the events of the day or the thoughts around it and things like that. And so that's where it came from, and I think, and that's that personally, that's to me. That's what it means to me. And I hadn't really thought into that. I hadn't thought much about that till we started talking about through the sculpture gallery the possibility of doing workshops and around therapeutic, the therapeutic nature of working with clay and things. And there are so many elements to it when I was thinking about it that just feed into to that. The idea of being able to create something and then smush it down and then rebuild it and start again. And 9 out of 10 times when you do that, the second thing you build is better than the first thing you build. It's just having the confidence to smush it down. And you just find yourself just creating metaphors for life, out of all of those actions. The tactile nature of it, the feel of it, the coolness of the clay on fingers is very therapeutic. The process of creating and the kiln firing and the patience involved, developing the patience around. There's so many elements to it that is beneficial. It's almost a meditative process, and it certainly is for me. I mean, it's not. I'll be really honest, when I'm focused on creating something that means something to me, it is not always a plain sailing, meditative, enjoyable process. There's frustration, there is... Sometimes I need to squash it down and sometimes punch it down and then start again. But when you're in that place, when you see that face emerging, or you make that stroke, that I used to call it coming alive. When you see the right expression looking back at you, and you know that you've hit the right place in terms of what you want to achieve. It can be really early on as well. It's a funny thing. It can be a lump, it can be something that looks like Swamp Thing, but you see the potential of where it's going to go, and then it's plain sailing. Like, it's a lovely feeling from there on in, because you've got the thing you want, and it's just perfecting it and working around it. It's a lovely thing, and I for the life of me, I can't work out why more people don't do it. Right. Okay, I'm going to shut up anyway. I'm rambling. It's always lovely to hear from people. If you do have any queries about any work, any events, if you just want to say hi, just drop me an email. I always try to get back to people as soon as I can. Sometimes it's very late, but I always do get back to people. So there we go. Okay. That's enough of that. You take care. I'm going to go to bed, and I shall hopefully speak with you very soon. Okay. Bye-bye.